In Theta, the spur controls everything. The conversation is dominated by the spurg. Over the next 2 hours or however long they stay sober, you will lose intelligence. Enjoy Theta Thursday. Your hosts, Dawn and Rhea, Mifune, and some shitty guests.
Well, hello everybody, and welcome to this week's Theta Thursday.
Hail Satan!
Hail science, actually, sir. Today we have tons and tons of topics to talk about, but before Brisk has to leave for Rampage and their glorious night of drinking, I believe he's going to talk to us a little bit about a Fanfest recap. So, Brisk?
I mean, a little bit. I mean, I don't want to spoil everything we're going to do on the Meta Show tomorrow.
No,
but I mean, I can here to talk about it.
Saturday.
Oh, what is this Meta Show?
Don't start with me. How dare you? No, tomorrow on the Meta Show we will talk about Fanfest. Obviously, I was there in the flesh. I was one of the rare few that did not get COVID, but that's because I got it 2 months ago, so I was probably still immune. We're going to talk about what was presented. We're going to talk about why people are mad. We're going to talk about whether they should be mad. We're going to talk about the things that people might have missed. I think Fountain Frank is coming by to talk about all the things that people missed at FanFest. And then we've got the Pearl Abyss investors call, and then we've also got some other stuff. So we'll see. We have potential things to happen. John Hartley, I love you.
Oh, hi, John.
When does the investors call happen?
It was yesterday. I mean, it's not crazy. I think the Eve IP was down slightly from last quarter, but up slightly from this time last year. But I think the big issue is that the Korean won is going through a big inflationary spike too. So it might just be because the won is worth more that it looks like they're doing okay, even though technically they might have been down. So,
do you think they're going to switch to the 2?
1, 2.
Cute.
Anyways, Brisk.
Cute.
Was FanFest a good time? Did you have a good time? Let's just
I had a
start
great
off
time.
with-
I loved it. I had a blast. I think the highlight of FanFest for me was Mind One kicking the shit out of the party. He was so goddamn good. It was bouncing. The whole place was. It started out in the beginning of the night when you first roll in, and it literally looked like the worst high school dance you've ever seen. There's the DJ, and then there's like 5 or 6 cool kids, including myself and my wife, obviously, that are out on the dance floor, and then everybody else is hanging by the walls. And within a half an hour, he had that place banging. It was legit. So Mind One was awesome. We had a good time. I had a good time hanging out and talking to people. And I think if you were watching the Twitch stream, all you saw were people yelling and screaming and angry. Where is the content? Where is what we were promised? Where is this? Where is that? If you were on the ground at FanFest, you didn't see any of that stuff, and you were having a good time, and you were talking to your friends, and you were seeing what they were putting up on the screen. And for the most part, people kind of dug it. There wasn't anything that I saw. The only boos I remember hearing were the boos from the Pappy guys when Fountain Frank came out on the beginning of the show. That was it. Everything else, folks were cheering and clapping, and maybe there was some more silence where there would have been claps in the past, but in the end, I didn't think there was anything too crazy. Now, what? All right, let me try to put this into.
I was going to ask, can you please tell me what I should be excited about?
Well, so listen, there's a handful of things that we have been asking for pretty much constantly that they are finally giving us. The number one most important thing in that regard is we're getting structure and alliance skins after, however long we've asked for these. That's huge. We've been begging these guys to do it. We've been telling them this is a way to monetize the game. They can sell stuff. We will buy it. We'll make money. So what did they do? They're giving us what we're asked for, and they're making it free. And the way you get it is by earning it by playing the game. I like that. I am pleased with that. I am looking forward to it. The additional customization stuff that they showed where your ships can change and the more kill marks, the more things you do in space, different types of things happen to the ship. You can add different things to it. That I really liked. I like that you can, I like the fact that they're adding in some of these changes to faction warfare to let anybody be able to go and do it and sign up. And then you can display different things on your character sheet so people can look and see, all right, this is what this guy does just by looking at the info and looking at what's on their bio and stuff like that, which is critical. Like now you don't have to, you're always looking at somebody and all you can tell, all right, you can look at their roles and see maybe whether this person is important in their group or maybe whether what they do. And then you got to go dump their name into Zkill and see what kind of ships they fly and all that kind of crap. And now potentially there's going to be a visible way in the client to be able to see people and tell, if they are new or old, if they've been around a while or not. I think that's going to be great. I don't think so, Roderick. I don't think that there was enough money, and I think that was the reason why they chose to give this to us free. Is I don't think there was enough money in the regular monetization for Alliance skins and stuff like this for them to think that they could justify charging people, because it would be like a one-time thing and then they would get no money from it. So they'd rather make sure that it's something that everybody can have access to. And I think that's fair, and I think especially after just raising the prices, if they had raised the prices and then said, hey, by the way, we're going to give you guys Alliance Destructor skins and you got to pay for it, I would have fucking rioted. I would have pitchforked, because that's bullshit.
I would have fully expected it. So
yeah.
All right. So the fact that they didn't, that's a good sign.
Right, but what change did they even sniff at that is going to bring people back to play?
Faction warfare change, absolutely. Listen, I'll tell you this right now. I know you got. Say that again.
What's the timeline they gave us on that?
But again, all right. So listen, now that's fair. Now you didn't ask me the timeline. You said what's going to bring people back, and I said faction warfare, and it will. The problem is, and what I said. And what I think is legitimate criticism, and the thing that anybody out there wants to complain about, and it's completely fair for them to complain about it, is none of this stuff was ready. None of it was shippable. None of it is coming out in a week. None of it's coming out in 2 weeks. It's going to take them until the end of the year, potentially. And what we really saw more than anything at this FanFest was less here's what we're doing for you right now. It's here's a roadmap for the next year to get us to the next FanFest, to the 20th anniversary. That's right. Fly goes flat. That's not true. I think there's a ridiculous number of people that care about faction warfare. And I think the important thing that is getting left out when we talk about this faction warfare stuff is that it's not just going to be faction warfare. What they're going to do when they do the revamp is going to include a lot of other things, including stuff that's going to impact us, I think, in nullsec. I think they're going to look at SOV changes. I think they're going to look at the way we deal with SOV, and they're going to try to make a unified system so that the way we do things in nullsec is also how they do it in lowsec. It's also how they do it in highsec. It's how the empires fight each other. There's going to be an story arc that's going to be similar to the Triglavian invasion for the folks that need their content handed to them. But some of the changes that they're going to do as part of that process are going to be things that are going to benefit us in nullsec when we're telling our own stories. So I think it's going to be a potentially good thing when it gets down the road. And the other thing we've said the quadrants were stupid. They couldn't keep up the pace. They haven't done fast changes, and it would be better if they went back to the old, Jesus feature once or twice a year expansion thing. And that's what they're going to do, So we asked for faction warfare changes. They're giving us that. We asked for Alliance Structure skins, the heraldry stuff. They're giving us that. They are looking at the skill queues and the way skill points are generated. And I know that some people may not like that, but I think, at least as I understand it, unless I'm understanding it wrong, they're tearing out the attribute system, which is what we have asked for. I've asked for 4 years now, because it makes no sense. It doesn't add anything. It's just a layer of complexity that nobody gets, because the only people that ever play with it are the ones that do remaps, because Neocom on their phone says, hey, if you change your skills to this, it'll increase, your training pace by 5 days or something. But in the end, it's only based on the one that you have. Go ahead.
I was going to say, is that going to change? I have attribute implants in. Are those going to become worthless now?
No, I think what they'll do is at least as I understand it, they're tearing out attributes. They're going to create a set amount that you train, your skill points train over time. And then things like implants and boosters and other stuff like that will modify the rate that you train these skills. And what happens is, at least as I understand it, instead of training a specific skill, you train skill points. They go into your unallocated pool, and then you just assign the points that you want to the skills that you want. So you don't have to go and make sure that you've got skills in your training queue constantly, because even if you don't, you're going to generate skill points, and you can apply those as needed. If you want to get into a ship, you wanted to get something like that. I think that's going to be a pretty good change, and it's something that I think will help new players, because it's going to make the game a little more accessible, because they don't have this throwback bullshit to like some random D&D RNG nonsense that never actually did anything in the game. And it's going to make so that they don't have to constantly worry about, having people not have a skill in their queue trained, and they have to go back and they petition the GMs, hey, can I have my skill points? I forgot to train my skills this week. Stupid stuff like that. And I think it makes more sense this way. So I think the other huge thing for corporations and alliances, the new taxation system and the corp tools, that's going to be crazy good. It's such a pain in the ass having to constantly use third-party stuff. And I think this is something for the little guys, for the smaller alliances that don't have the kind of infrastructure outside of the game that Goons have, or Init has, or Horde has. They're going to finally have some tools in the game to help let them compete like the big guys do, in terms of taxes and things, and other types of things that will give them income and let them generate and have the kind of infrastructure that we have. That's going to be a good thing as well.
Now,
so, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that they announced that I think will be good if we ever see it.
So they didn't really explain that.
So, sorry, I had a question, Brisk, and this is a question that I've had since the actual FanFest streams. Like you said, they haven't given us an exact timetable. Like, we have no idea when the faction warfare revamp is actually going to be here. We don't know when things are actually going to be implemented, and I think that's okay in some degree, right? How it gives CCP as a company less pressure to get a feature out before it's ready, and that way you don't have disasters like Cyberpunk or Battlefield 2042, any crazy shit like that. So that's good for them. But I feel like a lot of the player anger towards these things isn't necessarily the fact that these changes are coming or that we won't like them. I think a lot of it is directed at is that we don't have them now. That the player base has been saying for 2 years now, we've had no new content, we've had no things. And a faction warfare revamp, that's great. That's great that they're doing a faction warfare revamp, but we kind of needed it yesterday. You know what I'm saying? So it's like the player base needs something new, and they need it now, because that's why players are leaving in droves. And a lot of these players,
that's exactly what I was bringing up.
A lot of these players are quitting EVE, and CCP, Rotati, and CCP in general have said, oh, they'll come back when this is done. Oh, they'll come back later. Well, what's going to happen when 90% of the player base extracts all their SP, sells it, and gives their shit away, fully quits EVE, biomasses all their characters? Guildweir, and if I say his name wrong, it's dyslexia and my problem with pronunciating things. If you haven't seen it, and that goes for anybody watching the stream right now, on the Imperium News Network website, there was an article of a 14-year-old vet who has reached his final straw. He put in his GDPR request to get all of his shit gone. He has ripped everything out and given it away to players in his corporation. He is done. And he is not the only player to do that. In fact... Did
you read why he said he did that, Mifune?
I didn't get to read the full article, but I just want to give that as an example, because I know it's probably not because of the recent changes or anything like that. But
it's not, and that's why it's not a good example. I mean, Weiler has been playing the game for 14 years. He's in his 40s. His kids are about to graduate high school. Yeah. He's just done with games.
I'm saying
that's it.
There are a lot of players out there that are leaving in droves because of what the company has done over the past 2 years. And those players are not going to come back, no matter how much
I disagree.
I disagree. Don't think they will.
The next time there's a big war, if Horde decides they want to come fuck with Goons again, you don't think those folks will answer the Horner Goon door and come back?
I would like to point out that it was in 2019 is when CCP said, "Don't worry, they'll be back." That was 3 years ago. And a lot of people that had left then or barely play then or from then are still not back.
I mean,
I got a question for you, Brisk. Now, if
Really?
my father himself, who has been a veteran of EVE since 2005, left in 2019 with Blackout. I got him to log into the game for one night, and that was my 21st birthday night that we were partying with my corp. That was the only.
Yeah, he joined ASCII though. Wasn't that the problem?
Yes,
Like, if he would have been in a real corp like Sundering, he would have been all right.
So
He'd probably still be playing.
He refuses to re-download the game, and no matter how much I tell him, I told him about the Faction Warfare revamp. I've been telling him, and he doesn't care. They're done with the game. And they're not.
That's
gonna
fine.
come
If they're
back.
done with the game, then they're done with the game. I don't. What are we supposed to do? You think there's anything CCP can do to get those people back? I don't think so. I think there's stuff we can do to get them back. I think the war. If you were playing the game and didn't come back for the war, then you're never going to come back. So in that case,
probably true.
then why are we worrying about trying to get those players? We're not going to get them back.
But
Yeah,
that's
and
what
we want new
everyone's talking
people.
You
about.
got to get new people then.
No, we
Everyone's
need new
talking
people.
about-
people.
Mifune.
Everyone's been talking about bringing back the people from 2010, bringing back.
You're
the
never gonna
60,000
get that.
ECU. Then why does CCP keep claiming that they?
They're
will?
not. They're not. When have they ever said that? They're spending all their time and money on the new player experience. They're not. They're not trying to get the veterans back.
We did count. I think we're at 200% investment at this point because they keep redoubling their efforts towards MPE, and they've said that 4 years in a row now. So on Push a Tog, where it's kind of now a running joke. Like,
Well, they're
how
not-
much more doubling your efforts can you do?
Well, so the problem is they're not done with the new player experience, right? So they wanted like 4 separate arcs, and while they're going through them, they're making a lot of back end changes, with each new arc that they do. They're still stuck on industry. Then they're going to do They're going to do PvE stuff like exploration and more stuff like that, and then they're going to tie in faction warfare to the PvP aspect. So I think we'll probably have to wait 2 more like new player experiences before like arcs or whatever before we actually get the faction warfare changes.
But does
Here's a hot take. Given the timing of their price increase, do you think if Helmar had access to a retrospectometer, he would announce what he's going to do and then say, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna hike the prices"?
No,
I think it was
see it.
really horrible timing.
Now, a lot of people have mentioned that like the price hike doesn't really make sense from a like EVE player perspective, because in order to play EVE compared to the other games, you need more than one account. So reducing the price and maybe having like a big sale, because it was basically like, this is what like a cash grab is what they did. It's like, hey, sign up for 24 months. They're trying to get as much money as they can to new money for the business. They could have just reduced the price.
It's the problem. Here's the issue. As far as I can tell, they need the money. And you look at the Prolibus revenue statements, their revenue is relatively flat, but that doesn't account for inflation. So I'm looking at the numbers, and it looks to me like EVE is not doing as great as it could be doing. It's still generating as much as it did in the last year, but the amount of money it's generating is not worth as much because of the fact that everything's getting more expensive. So, I mean, look, the price hike is the price hike. They're not going to reduce it. They're not going to do anything differently. So we can sit here and complain about it. But in the end, I think it's up to every single person that plays the game to decide whether it's worth $20. If it's not worth $20, then don't pay the $20. There are other ways to pay for your Omega if you want to do that. You could generate the ISK in the game. You can play as an alpha instead. There's plenty of ways to do that. And I think a lot of us have subscriptions that are long enough, because I usually pay for a year just because I don't want to have to worry about it. And I know that other people do the same thing. I think a very small amount of the population is paying month to month. Everybody usually, I think number 3-month sub is the one that almost everybody does it. So if you sub for the 2-year sub, it's not $20. It's like $13 a month. But yes, they get the money up front. And yes, that means that it's much harder for us to say, hey guys, unsub if you're unhappy, because fine, you unsub, but you're still Omega for the next 19 months or something. So it's not like that shows anything other than a one-time spike in the unsubs. And they have unsubs. I mean, they have hundreds and hundreds of unsubs every day. That doesn't faze them. I mean, the bottom line is, if you're a nullsec player and you're sitting around waiting for CCP to give you content, then you're doing it wrong. We make our own content in nullsec. The high sec and low sec people, they're the ones who want to be spoon-fed. They're getting something that they want. They're the bulk of the player base. So at the very least, there's those types of players are getting the stuff that they're asking for. We ask for stuff too. We've been asking for customization stuff. We got that. So it's not like we didn't get anything. But we don't need CCP to come around and say, hey guys, here's some content so you can go have a big war. We do that ourselves.
Yeah, but we can't generate content when everything costs more than a pretty penny.
And they just did a big fix to reduce the cost of all the capital production and try to spark some of the capital stuff.
So that's cool.
You played our trap card.
That's cool that they reduced the price of building a capital, but you know what I still can't do? I still can't make more than, 60 million an hour ratting? Still can't make more than, 150 mil an hour with one of my oracles and a couple of alts?
What whale sex? What's the deal with the gas?
You're never going to get...
No.
You're never going to get back to what we used to have. Guys, listen, this is the new normal. You have to deal with the new normal. You're never going to go back to what it was 2 years ago. Okay?
No,
you're not going to give it to us.
We already know that they're not just going to roll back to 2019, but you know what they could do? They could at least add belts back into the game. So when I'm invading Toniferous, I don't have 6 sets of rats on the fucking gate.
I know, and it's on my list, and we're trying to get him to do that. We're trying to get him to fix this stuff.
Speaking of cutting the capital stuff in half, you still can only make, if you're lucky, 10 dreads a day.
So there's a significant bottleneck as far as wormhole gas and a lot of the ghost site parts that they added. So if you look on the market right now, y'all can buy it right now. Like the C84 or whatever, the Fullerite C84, it's like one of the gases you need. There's only enough on the Gina market right now to make 10 dreadnoughts.
And the where do you get that? Oh yeah, C5 wormholes.
And that's the only place you get it.
And where's half this? Who controls half of the C5s of all?
Guys, I'm not arguing and saying that they have fixed industry. I know that they have not fixed industry, but they are working on it, and it's something that we can try to get them to do. If the Fullerite gas is a bottleneck, then we'll go say, hey, you got to fix this. I mean, that's the bottom line. But again, like you say, there's no content in nullsec or nothing. I mean, are we not on a GAF deployment? Did we not just glass 2 regions? Are we not in the middle of big wars with fire and the rest of Pappy? Is NC.Dot and PL not deploying tomorrow? Come on, guys, be fair.
I mean, yes, we generate our own content, but CCP isn't giving us the proper tools to generate the really fun content. Yeah, it's cool and all to burn 2 regions.
They don't need to give us anything. We have to do this ourselves. We have to make it happen ourselves. No, they don't.
There's plenty of out there.
There's a ton of money out there. There's money coming out of our asses.
Yeah, it's just not
If you're not making 70, you're making 70 million is ratting, then why the fuck aren't you running abyssals?
Yeah.
That's where the money is. Why aren't you running incursions? We all have alts. There's ways to make money.
We all have cell phones. Go do content that you don't want to do or else.
If the content you want to do is gate locked behind ISK and you need to make ISK to do the content that you want to do, then you got to go where you get the most per hour. Okay? That's the bottom line. That's how it's always been in the game.
And
that's how it's always been.
That content isn't always either available or something that someone wants to do.
Abyssals are always available.
But abyssals aren't what everybody likes to do.
Listen, if you like the PvP, but you can't afford to, you don't want to buy your ISK, so you have to generate it yourself, then you're going to have to do shit you don't want to do in order to fund what you want to do. It's just like real life. I don't go to work because I enjoy it. I go to work because I want my fucking paycheck so I can go do the shit I do want to do.
Yeah, but
that's how this is in the game. That's how EVE has always been.
Is CCP just going to abandon what anomalies mean in this game? Because at the moment, anomalies mean nothing, right? Like, yes, I could go do abyssals to get my ISK, but what about raising the ADMs by doing Forsaken Hubs? Nobody does that anymore because no ISK is made there.
Correct, and the
nobody
ADM
mines
system
the
needs to go
colossal
away.
belt. Yeah, I agree. The ADM system does need to go away, but are they going to do?
And they should change the bounty risk modifier so it's 100% in every system, and it only goes up and not down. There's a lot of stuff that they have to do.
Along with that, or like that's what.
Why do they have to get rid of anomalies? They've already nerfed them into the ground. They don't need to do
useless.
that.
If
People still do them.
Yes.
Still something to do.
Something to do that makes you literally a penny in a pocket.
He's not wrong.
Now, Brisk, you have enough.
Just encouraging everyone to be more nomadic, right? So, like, if the problem is, like, we can't all sit in one area. If we're going to have to organize and be like, hey, we're ratting, everyone's ratting in this system today. Oh, hey, we're moving over to the next system tomorrow. Or like 2 days or something like that.
The structure system doesn't support that. They built all these building models, right? You put an Astra house down. How long does it take to put down? It depends on if you own the system or not and how long you've owned it. But let's say on average it's 2 or 3 days just to put a building down.
It takes 24 hours, Don.
Okay.
All right.
I know it's minimum.
I'm sorry to cut you off, Don, but I got to get out of here. Hopefully I will see you all later. You guys can talk more about this on Rampage. But I'll try to catch in, and we'll talk about this again tomorrow on the Meta Show.
Always a pleasure, Brisk. Thank you very much.
Bye, Brisk.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was our CSM candidate, one of our CSM candidates, Mr. Brisk.
I'm not done with my point, thank you. Which is they created all of these items in the game that promote holding space, staying in one area for days, weeks, months at a time. I mean, you're supposed to hold Sav for almost, 35 days just to have a jump bridge to go from one point to another, and then you need it like for 50 or 60 to be able to do capital production, somewhere in there, right? And then a moon to get a full frack on a moon, you need to have that for 56 days. But then they want to make all this nomadic shit of like, well, everything starts lowering in areas, so you have to move around. And it's like, pick a fucking lane. Do you want us to own space or do you want us to move around? Because everything they're making does not support what they're trying to change this game to.
Well, it's a pretty big easy thing to fix.
Belts anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, when's the last time, Don, when is the last time, not even your Oracle, just in general, when is the last time you warped to a colossal belt?
That would be during the war for occasional ADM pumping, but other than that, I haven't in probably 2 years.
Oh, right. So are we just supposed to forget the entire anomaly system and how it works into EVE Online?
One of the most prominent miners in the game who runs the largest mining group in the game and contributes to a huge portion of the mining in this entire game. And I have not been in a colossal for 2 years.
Well, that's because cap production went down, but cap production is going to go back up, so people are going to have to get back in the Colossus.
I know, Penguin. It's like talking to a brick wall sometimes about, do Abyssal, do, Incursions. Guess what? Incursions is full of dramatic assholes where it's almost impossible to get in unless you suck somebody's dick correctly. And
Don!
She's just talking about the GSF SIG. I mean,
there's an incorrect way?
I'm not wrong. For GSF, for high sec incursions, trying to get into a low sec incursion.
Moves for TDF, for low sec incursions, it's not who you know, it's who you blow. All right. Yeah.
And then they say, "Oh, do abyssals," but I'm alone, and I hate content that has a timer. It stresses me out. So for me personally, and I know a lot of people, we don't want that kind of content. I like something where if I have to get up and go to the bathroom, or if somebody comes to the door, or my cat start doing something, I can get up and move. So I will never ever do abyssals. I've been in abyssals 3 times out of the 5 years it's been in the game.
So you want to AFK mine in your roar, because that's what I'm hearing.
No, I active mine. I active mine. I sit there moving aura around, talking with my friends. Oh, a baddie showed up. Let's get ready to kill things. I like to do that. And we're doing different stuff with mining because we don't really have a choice anymore. But sitting there in a procurer with a porpoise and making 30 mil an hour is just not that much fun. When you used to sit in a Rorqual with a Hulk next to it, making, 100 to 120 million an hour.
I want to take a moment and address somebody directly in Twitch chat right now, Mr. John Hartley. You have an open invite to come on this show, sir, and you have not been on this show, sir. So the invite is open again.
And don't get me wrong here, guys. I love it. I love incursions. It's how I learned how to logi, like when I first started the game. And I like doing them, but I don't like when someone tries to tell me how to fucking logi them.
No.
And I want to tell them to shut the fuck up. But then they get all like pissy about it.
This is a good segue into something I wanted to point out in chat. Goonie DuPont, he said, Mifune, Rattati didn't like it, so he nerfed it into the ground to make you what he wants to do or quit the game. I want to stress this. Okay, yes, you can go do abyssals to make your money. Yes, you can go mine a moon to make your money. You can go do high-sec incursions, right? But the whole point of EVE was that there is multiple activities for you to do, right? It wasn't about it, like, 2018, 2019, as cancer as it was for the economy, right? You got to choose what you wanted to do. Ratting in your super carrier made just about the same amount of ISK per hour as a Roracle and a Colossal Belt.
So you had a choice on how you wanted to...
Exactly.
A
It's
game.
taking sand
You
out
could
of
carry
the
it.
sandbox, and it's annoying as fuck that I cannot choose what I enjoy in this game. I enjoyed ratting. I enjoyed going to an anomaly and doing a Forsaken Hub and doing a Sanctum. That's what I enjoyed. But now, if I
L4
want to
missions.
if I want to make that same like level of ISK making, I have to do triple multi-box frigates and abyssals. Okay, like, yes, make abyssals good money. Make wormhole money good money. But you know what? All of the activities in EVE should be good ISK making. All of them
Within
roughly,
reason.
No, within reason, all of them should be
Some things are
roughly the
riskier,
same.
so they should make more, and some
More.
things are more passive or chill, and so
Exactly.
they make less. PI should not make you a billionaire because there's not much risk involved in PI, but there is a lot of brain power / tedium, so it's kind of a balance. It shouldn't be pittance, but it should be something. The fact that, once again, I can't go into nullsec, which is supposed to have like the best ore. Like, they were, the short-sightedness of CCP with solving problems. Everyone said, hey, we don't have any belts in half this game now because you took them all out of weirdness to raise ADM. So CCP's immediate plan to fix this was to we'll put an Arcanor and Bistot belt in every system in nullsec. Great. It's just enough to get your ADMs to 1 so you can keep pushing up. Problem is they crashed the Arcanor and Bistot market, so now those rocks are worthless. They used to be one of the most expensive rocks next to Mercoxit, and now they are absolutely worthless. And the short-sightedness is, like, these are supposed to be the hard-to-get rare rocks that high-sec miners would want to come and get and take that risk to come down to come and get them, and now there's no point. You make more off of ochre in low-sec than you do, which used to be trash, and you can make more off of Veldspar in high sec than you can on Arcanor, which used to be insanely profitable. What is this? The short-sighted fixes for their bullshit is just like, can you take a second to think 2 steps beyond the initial impact of whatever change you made? Sorry. I'm a little passionate about that.
It's right though. It's like anomalies are worthless. And if they want to make anomalies worthless, fine. Remove them from the game. It's not like it's passcode, alright? It's not like we don't have the ability to remove them. I am pretty much sure that CCP has the ability to remove anomalies from nullsec systems. I am perfectly sure that is not fucked up in the jumble code that is passcode.
Oh, so
right? If you
okay,
wanna
so
make
someone
them worthless, fine, make them worthless. No, if you want to make them worthless, fine, make them worthless. Take them out of the game, replace them with whatever new system that you want to put in fucking place. But you know what? EVE is a sandbox game. Yes, in nullsec, we make our own content. We start our own wars. But how can we do that if we can't have other activities that we enjoy in our ISK making? Back in the day, you had the activity you loved for ISK making, and then you had the activity you loved for PvP that started content. You can't tiptoe that seesaw.
I would like to point out a comment from Thanks 1973, and it says, "Sounds like the game isn't for you anymore." Well, That's kind of what's been happening. A lot of the guys in Theta can attest. I've been playing my dinosaur game way more than I play Eve, and I've been playing Minecraft and Dota and a lot of other games that I'm still able to get some social interaction out of that I like out of Eve. And I personally have done almost nothing on our recent deployments because every time I go, we just die.
Oh, I got something I got something a little off topic, guys, that I gotta bring up. It's kind of the elephant in the room. I don't know if you've noticed, but I got my cat ears, and apparently the kids are saying nowadays ooh woo.
Now, Whale Sykes, you were here because we wanted to talk about some of the Siege Green stuff.
Yes.
And I know we touched on it a little bit, but we'll let you go into... Do you want to talk about the structure changes?
What structure changes?
Oh my god, okay.
Oh yeah, sorry, the Siege Green changes. Yeah, I don't know. What are you doing, Greg?
Fucking big cam, man! I'm on big cam! There's two of me now! This is awesome, I'm gonna dance!
There's only one of you now.
There's only one. But I am fixing things because apparently my screen share does not want to screen share properly right now.
And don't get me wrong, Briss did bring up some points of like, yes, those are good things. But it's one, we talked about with Jay, we tried to get him on this week, but he wasn't available. ghosted us, asshole.
Can you zoom into that, Mifune?
Send him a more message. He's probably out partying, man. Give Jay a break.
But Jay and the group talked about like 2 or 3 weeks ago before FanFest that they needed to announce something big that would get people to want to come back or to play the game, and they did not. They announced a lot of good stuff. Faction warfare changes, great. We have no fucking idea when it's going to happen. Yay, new docking mechanics. When during tie-dye, it's going to be so much fun being like, dock and undock to try and get out, to try and do your shit. And I gotta watch my ship fly down to the structure and park.
Docking and undocking is the worst thing to do in tie-dye. What are you talking about?
I know, and they just added more screens to it.
I will say, the animation, as far as how it will play out with tie-dye and whatnot, I'll take a line from Brisk. I'm cautiously optimistic that they will actually do their job in looking into that. But I will say, as someone who is in the process of learning Unreal Engine and stuff like that, those animations, to me, are cool as fuck.
Did they say
are you going to make a game, Mifune? Because I got some really good ideas for games.
Did they say it's going to take $1 trillion to make a Vanquisher?
It was before. That's pre-patch.
$1 trillion is to make a Vanquisher? Yeah. Doesn't John Hartley have one?
Mifune, if you learn this Unreal Engine there, Mifune, you should make a first-person shooter, but make it like fucking with Eve characters.
Oh,
it's a good idea.
Finish it before CCP London does. Sure.
Call it like Project Mega 13 or whatever the fucking thing's called. What's the project's name?
I do want to say I am excited about that. They're going to let your other ships be kind of like trophies in your hangar. I like that because I have a lot of ships that I enjoy, but I don't ever take out, like my Nightmare, my Paladin, things like that. They're pretty. They're completely hangar queens. Just love having them. And so getting to be able to see them more often without having to get in the ship, I like that. So I'm okay with that change. I think it's kind of superfluous. But hey, I'll take it at this point.
I do enjoy getting to see all of the fleet mates in the hangars next to you, and when you all undock at the same time and you just see 100.
Well, they said that's a maybe. It's probably not.
I know that was all like kind of modeling, half rendered in bullshit.
Who fucking cares? If I want fucking graphics, I'll watch a movie. I want to play fucking space violence game and kill people. I don't give a fuck if it looks pretty, man. Fucking get your shit together, CCP, you cunts.
Hey, keep it together.
Sorry.
I like graphics. So if the game content's going to be terrible, at least make it look nice.
Well, that was one of the things that they announced during FanFest, is that they're improving a lot of back-end stuff with it. So they're in the process of still upgrading to DirectX 12. And so with the new player experience stuff... Pardon?
Is 13 going to be coming out soon, though?
No idea.
They'll skip right to 14 because 13 is an unlucky number, right?
That's true.
Have you ever been to a 13th floor in an apartment building? No.
I thought the new DirectX version wasn't a number, I don't think. I think they had a letter this time around for the new one.
I just want... the other thing that I liked, actually, and as I said, there were things on there. What they announced wasn't necessarily bad. It was just kind of like, okay, and? It's like getting a salad before dinner, and then they say, oh, the salad is the dinner, and you're like, oh.
I've got a feeling this is going to be torn apart in depth and well chewed on and digested on the Meta Show on Saturday. Because Mittens is not going to put up with anything that Briss says that he doesn't agree with. Like, Mittens ain't a yes man.
I know. I was going to say it would seem very sympathetic. And I get it.
We will see. It's going to be an interesting show. I think we should maybe move on to a little bit of the Siege Green stuff because we got about 15 minutes left or whatever.
We can as long as we want. Yeah,
exactly. But
make sure Mifune gets his time.
Structure mechanics are definitely going to influence how. All right, let's talk about that guy. Yeah, and this is where fucking John Hartley would be perfect on the fucking show. But where's John?
Hey, Keish can come on. He's in chat too. So
Cash, come on, man.
Anyways, so Whale Sex, go over some of the changes.
And Siege Green changes allowed everyone to destroy an entire structure's shields in like 5 minutes. Awesome. Just get as many.
That change.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not really that good, right? Because you have to respond to it.
No one responds to shield timers anyways, honestly.
Yeah, that's true.
Because all they do is just wait and come back over and over and over again. So you either have to sit there for like 2 hours,
but if you do want
to do it.
But if you do want to harass people, you can't just get like a full fleet of kikis and just go structure to structure to structure and just have fun.
Yeah, Costa Check, if you want to come on, it's fine with me. Gucci.
Daddy Kosi coming on, that'd be great.
Anyways, so the shield timers are shield cap is non-existent. And correct. They did the lazy way of doing it, of saying that instead of like actually removing the shield cap, the easiest option was to just put the number so insanely high for a shield cap that no one will ever reach it.
No, it's
no. That is exactly what they said.
Yeah, so they couldn't. It's a mechanic that they created that they couldn't get around, which is fucking stupid. But they needed
welcome, Coast Check to Theta Thursday. Coast Check, how are you doing, buddy? Sorry to cut you off. We're fucking awesome, man.
We've been
but another thing it did is they reduced the structure timer, the structure HP. So that's going to be interesting.
On shield.
No, so here's reduced structure.
On structure hit points too.
Here's a direct question, even for Coast Chat. How is this going to influence our strategy in the Imperium for fucking people's shit up? Is it going to provide a lot more? I don't want to say the word content, but I will, to our fleet commanding team and skirmish commanding team.
So I think like you're going to see some really cool, unique ways of killing structures. That starts to develop. One of the ones that I've seen that's pretty funny is bombing the shield timer, like with bomb bombers, and you just literally one cycle it. But you need like 200 bombers, so it's kind of a pain in the butt. But it's like pretty cool to do. I don't know if you guys have seen it yet. Keish did it the other day.
Speaking of Keish,
welcome Keish. If you guys want to grab footage of all the crazy shit, I'd be more than happy to make it do a montage.
Yeah, I think that's something we've been kind of working on. We do, Keish and Slabback have been recording a bunch of fleets. I think there's going to be some good montages.
Got to work on my editing skills of late.
Yeah, like the Slabback filmed the testing that we did the other day on that anchoring Ritaru, and that went gorgeously. I was so happy.
How are you, Cash? You're fucking welcome to Theta Thursday.
Well, thank you for the invite. I'm doing fine.
The Uwu stand for the murder.
Yeah, you have an open invite, Cash. You do realize that, right?
I actually just got home, like not too long ago.
It's true. He did send me pictures.
Yeah.
Well, you missed a lot of the CCP sympathizing earlier, so that now we've had our GER CCP moment. So now we're just looking at these changes. Do you have a Vanquisher, Keish?
No, I just have two. I just have two buses.
The superior.
I was building a rag, and it stopped due to the war. And with the changes, I've not started building that rag again yet.
Well,
But I did make Jeff Bridges as a new rag alt. So
Oh, that's nice.
It's pretty funny.
pretty
Do
proud
you
of
want to, Keish? Do you want to buy a Ragnarok? I've got one.
that. For $350.
No, well, we could negotiate on price. I have someone
I'll
else. who
buy
wants
one
it
for
better.
$350.
I was gonna.
No,
buy
Well,
it for
350
$450.
billion? Sure, hell yeah.
No.
No.
Don, you can't use Theta Thursday for your own financial gain. I'm sorry.
I
this-
sure
You're gonna have to
can.
put my
I
foot
This
know
is
down.
Theta
loyalty.
Thursday. Do toe pictures work? Can I get a rag for some toe pictures?
Ooh.
No.
Oh, rag. Oh,
No,
rag's not good.
Are they like painted toes or unpainted?
This is up to negotiation, right?
I built it myself right before the war started. I mined it with my 2 oracles.
So it's
And
free.
then well, I needed something to do. I was like, I've never built one. Let's try it. And I did it in like 4 months, I think, by myself. Like,
Oh, we got to give a shout out to Dead Minds podcast, first time chatter. Welcome to INN's Theta Thursday, the flagship show of INN.
we are the anchor of this channel for sure.
You can tell
110% sure.
it's production quality.
But so you've got some ideas for like doing bombs on structures. How
Not
is
even
the-
ideas.
I know you've been
it's not.
trying.
It's not a theoretical. It's we did it. Like, it was done. It was achieved.
Have we figured
It was
out
pretty
how
funny,
many
dude.
dreads are needed to one cycle a Citadel?
Why would
Oh,
you?
oh,
When you
yeah?
could just decloak bombs and throw them
I mean-
before it ever the timer cuts down.
If
So the
we're-
first second, the first breath it has is dead.
If we're gonna burn structures down uncontested, you might as well have some fun, man.
Yeah.
Look,
well, to be fair,
I'm
that's
not
for
going to
anchoring
say we
structures.
haven't considered dropping Titans on them, but there's a Lance count somewhere on how many it takes.
No, boson. Can you You can boson a structure, right?
I don't know. Go find out.
And how
It only-
and how
it's
2.0,
reduced
but on
for-
structures.
Probably wouldn't apply or something.
No,
Let's
we did
be
it to a
real.
POS. We did it to POS modules and it worked. I think we put like 20 Titans on a POS during the NC dot one up in Tribute, because I distinctly remember watching Asher and them do it, and they just and then of course there's always the one person who misses wildly.
The only thing I remember from the tribute deployment was the 6.5 hour Ferox fleet of reffing 6 constellations of every structure they had.
You know, I don't want to fucking hear it, Mifune. I was in the Lashak secret group, which isn't really a secret anymore because like we use Lashaks
Well,
for
what do you talk
grinding
about on
stuff.
Tuesday?
I
Every
know,
Thursday.
right? It's 3 years ago. I think the NDA is up on it, right? But you know,
What happened, Don?
We'd take like Lashaks out to ref structures because we wanted to go as fast as possible. So like main fleet would be doing one structure, and then like our group of like 30 would go do like 4 of them at the same time. So I don't want to hear the did 6 hours of Ferox. Okay, I sat there in a freaking Zarmaz for like 4 hours at like 3 in the morning.
I remember having to come save your Zarmaz once with a fleet. Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
the baddie showed up and we had to get out of the way. It was a good time.
Yeah, I've definitely saved my share of stupid Lashak violence in my day.
Well, to be fair, there was only really one Lashak pilot, which was Kumi manning all of them. So, and what's funny is one of his got caught. And he's like, "Why did that person not fucking jump away to warp away?" And he's like, "Oh, that's my
Well,
own."
just
Oh, it was
last
me.
week. What was it? Just last week we were ZJG, I believe it was. We were heading back there after reffing a couple structures, and I had my alts and Lashaks, and one of my Lashak alts got tackled by the NC dot group that was camping ZG J. God, that system is still a fucking mouthful. But then next thing you know, the entire fleet is like, "Oh, we'll go save it, whatever." And I'm like, "No, I got this, right? I'm totally fine, right?" here I am in a singular spider tanking Lashak, tanking 2 legions, 2 Lokis, 3 slashers, and like a whole bunch of other random garbage. Whole fleet comes back full force just to try and save it, and I'm just here with like 90% shield, just like, okay.
Pretty sure they came back to war on the kill Mifune.
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
Not to say
Just saying.
just to murder you. So how do you feel like these changes will impact future wars, such as either us going like to P-Horde space or them coming down towards us or whatever? Are people going to use medium structures more, or because they're so squishy and kind of worthless now, are they going to just try to only invest in bigger structures that do have the 2 timers? What are you guys thinking?
Okay, so based off our testing the other night, like really, as far as for my personal opinion, right? So no, I'm not pushing my glasses up, but there's plenty of people that will. I don't see medium structures being used in a siege profile at all. Just because we just proved the other night that even if you get it dropped, it can be aborted the first second that it comes out before the person has a chance to put a core in it. So, like, because you can already have bombs in air detonating before they could ever have the server tick to register the core being dropped. So, I just don't see medium structures being used for siege mechanics. Meaning, like, you go into someone's region, you drop these structures to have a place to stage your ships from. I expect it to be large structures minimal, just because that initial structure HP prohibits you from being able to essentially insta abort.
So if you are lucky enough to see when they drop it, you could even kill it before it onlines or anchors.
No, it doesn't matter anymore. Like, at least from what we were testing last night, like, it does not matter. You can drop your structure. I'll see when it's coming online because it says it there, big as day, and I'll just be there 10 seconds before it comes on for you to drop the core, and it'll be dead.
Yeah, because they reduced the structure HP so much.
Not only just that, but because I can lob a bomb, and it takes 10 seconds to explode. So at 9 seconds, I decloak, lob bomb, it hits like the structure model, it detonates. The first second that thing's vulnerable, it gets full damage, as we prove so you get every bomb's full damage, no deflections, and it's dead. So it kind of prohibits you from being able to like siege with that. Does that make
sense? So you're gonna have to use a bigger model to even.
Well, I mean, even then, it's 2 fleets, right?
Well, yeah. So it's just math at that point. I also have another idea that I cannot confirm yet, but ultimately, it scales where 210 ships do 500,000 damage within 8 seconds. And you scale that. So if you only have 100 ships, you have 104 ships, it does 250,000 damage. Point being that even with only 104 ships, you kill any medium structure that's being anchored without a core, right? In under a minute. So
it's pretty nutty.
Yeah. And you can use these same mechanics for the shield refs, where you come in and you think about it, if you're under 5 minutes on a structure, the likelihood that the enemy has formed a fleet, got to you to defend is nutty.
So it's going to make cleaning up space a lot easier too.
And that's just for the initial
defending.
part. Yeah,
I would argue defending as well, because if you can't drop cheap structures anymore in hostile regions, it makes you have to nut up from the beginning.
Yeah, you basically have to drop Fortizars if you want to see siege like Nullsack now, which I think is a good change. Like, even if you fuck ADMs, like, you still have to drop Fortizars.
There was a question I meant to ask you, Kosachek, actually, because ironically, this is a question that came up with my CSM post on the forums, and the big debate around Ansiblexes and whether or not they should be changed. and whether or not they should go hand in hand with this whole increased siege thing, where we're steamrolling a region, or basically doing what we are doing right now with Jeff. Whether that stuff is less about the the fact of clearing your neighbor regions, and more about the fact of full on invading and wanting to live in that space.
Did he cut out? Oh, okay, never mind. I was watching the stream and you were still talking and I was confused.
No, you're good.
Yeah, so I think like there's kind of two schools of thought you can think about with like Ansiblexes. I think like option A is leave them as is and like nothing, strategically changes in the world. And then option B is you make them function like the other timers. However, they stay online after the shield reinforce. So they're still functionally there for defenders, which I think gives a lot more flexibility to the defenders, but I think that's also kind of removes the point of like reffing them for strategic purposes, which is also kind of shitty. So honestly, I think the current system is probably the best way to handle it. I think maybe you can compensate by like reducing structure HP to kind of make it less obnoxious to kill them, but I don't know. I don't really think they're that bad to kill personally.
Right.
So.
It was more along the lines of people think that the ranges of how long an Ansiblex extends, like that.
Like from Fortizars?
No, from space in general. Like people, a lot of the feedback I've been getting from people, and a lot of the discussion I've been having with people through these early stages of the CSM campaign, and along Ansiblexes, is, for example, getting from 1DQ to the current Jeff staging takes a grand total of 10 minutes for your average ship, right? Some people are seeing that as broken. Some people are seeing that as that extension and push of power from your home region should not be a thing. That if you really want to push out that far towards Teniferous or from halfway across the map, that it should be more of a full-blown, more of a strategic decision, rather than, home is just a hop, skip, and a jump away if we need to call for backup.
Well, I think it's something no one should complain about, because we're just going to get space 8 timers like we got on the old ones, and that's going to be terrible.
I think like the biggest thing for me is like the force projection of jump bridges like makes the game have content, right? Like if we didn't have the projection that we have through our Ansiblexes, we simply wouldn't fight the only other block that's in existence right now, right? Like us and Horde live on the opposite side of the galaxy. We'd never see each other. So like without that projection, nullsec is dead, right? So
Right.
That's kind of my opinion on it.
Let me provide a follow-up question to that. In the event that they make a change like that, and most nullsec regions are dead, because that's the initial point in conversation that I brought up, one of their counterpoints to that was, well, that gives the opportunity for more groups to dip their toes into nullsec like they used to, like not looking at the current state of the PCU or who is and who isn't flying in nullsec. Would more empty space eventually promote the idea of, say, a high-sec corporation or a low-sec corporation wanting to dip their toes into nullsec and nullsec warfare? Because
honestly, I doubt it.
A lot of people I have talked to is that the reason that they don't go into nullsec is because if they do, they either have to choose goons or they have to choose somebody in Pappy. You know, like there is no more smaller groups that can grow within nullsec without just being steamrolled by one of the major blocks.
Yeah, I think the biggest, like, there's a lot more challenges to that than just the mobility of the game, right? So, like, the game inherently rewards you for being a big organization through, your ability to defend from fleets, The more people you have online, the easier it is to kill groups that are raiding you. Rorquals and things of the old days still pretty useful. And until those beacons were changed, super crabbing was absurd. So like the rewards you get for being in a large group are so much more than just the forced projection that I don't think the smaller groups can survive in nullsec, even if we couldn't project past period basis. Like I simply don't think they could live long enough there. And besides, like, what are you gonna do in nullsec? Like, you can't make money out here anymore. So
Yeah, true.
One of the guys in chat said that nullsec is boring, and I guess he's coming from a place of not nullsec.
Is it fake Prada? Because he's been a low sec fuckboy all day. So.
Yeah, it's fake Prada.
Yeah, I know
It's
crab
alright,
beacons
though.
aren't a thing anymore, but like that style of rewarding gameplay has been a part of EVE for decades, right? Going back all the way to multi-boxing carriers. So
Crab beacon, in my opinion, crab beacons, they need to rework those things. Like, in my
Well, they got rid of the exploits, so it doesn't matter anymore.
Well, my honest to God opinion on crab beacons is that they need to be. I think they need to be.
They need to not be on the overview.
No,
that's all they need to do.
I know. I think they need to be tiered. Almost. I think it should be a tiered system where you have a crab beacon that is specially designed for stuff to be challenging to carriers, and then stuff that is specially designed to be challenging for a super or for a titan.
So
right, and then
did they actually fix them? So
yeah. So you can't. They changed the anchor distance from POS to 30,000 kilometers instead of the 2.
You can still SIBO a super to reach that far, and you just extend the grid with mobile depots. So like, it's kind of obnoxious, but you can do it right now, which is pretty PogChamp. It's by like 2,000-ish kilometers. You can still lock out that far. So.
You can't lock out 30,000 kilometers.
Yeah, and in a RC mode super carry you can. It's like 31.
Yeah, but fighters get annihilated in those sites. There's no point in using a.
Well, no, they don't. They don't engage fighters as much as they used to. That was the whole point of the change that they made, like when it first came out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
I didn't know they changed
the subcap tanking, right?
Yeah,
so,
you just park a command ship in the center, and that's what does everything.
Yeah, I think crab beacons, the fact that like you get this giant like light saying "Come kill me" by like 8 bombers is like the dumbest thing about it. It removes the hunting from the hunter. You just like go, oh, there's some people doing some crab beacons in XYZ area. Let's go.
No, it just doesn't. It doesn't benefit goons, right? So everyone else is doing crab beacons nonstop. You can see Frat doing them all the time because
in a time zone that's terrible.
No, they have so much space that no one's there. Okay, everyone's just over here, and so we're kind of like biased towards it. It's like, oh, crab beacons don't work. There's no way you can do it. But like, if you live up in the north and there's like 4 people in the entire region, then you can do crab beacons all day.
So yeah, it's for when nobody's playing this game, because that encourages good content for other people to engage and hunt. And
well, the money's still there, right? It's just that you can't do crab beacons, if you live in populated space.
Honestly, I think like the concept of crab beacons was fine, but it's like you have to have like a huge space empire for them to function, right? So like you have to have like 3 regions to do them in to be effective. So I don't know. I think they're cool, but
sure, we did them for a while, and
if it's content I can't enjoy, I don't care about it.
When we had a good standing response fleet, it was fairly safe-ish.
Dread still cost almost $7 billion just to run them, and then they would die in under a minute. Greg,
well, Dreads are cheaper now.
Yeah, another $3.5 billion. If you could still build one,
that's 2. It's about 2.5.
It's about 2.5, which I think is healthy, and I will say, I'm gonna give props here. Even though it was an absolute god-awful graph, in the original resource distribution dev blog, they had a graph. It was god awful, and they basically had over to the left a red bit, over to the right a yellow bit, right, and in the middle was a green bit. And they said, all right, here's current wealth. It is way too much. And then they were like, okay, and we're going to bring the scarcity, and wealth is going to be all the way to yellow. And then by the end of the whole thing, it's going to be a perfect, healthy middle in the green. And I gotta give them props for this. Because that's exactly what they fucking did. All right, yes.
Did they, though?
Dread, kind of, right? So think about it. Pre-scarcity, a Dread was about 1.5 billion-isk fully fitted Capstorm. Right? During scarcity, they were about 7 to 8 bill, usually sold for around 10. Right?
Yeah.
Now, it's 2.3 bill. That's almost as cheap as it was in 2019, but a little bit more expensive without totally, it was fucked during scarcity, but now we can actually do cap production again.
I think the thing you're forgetting about here is that, like, making 2 bill now is way more work than it was in 2019, right?
Very true.
Especially for new players. So, like, in my opinion, they've perpetuated this system where old players that have money and have built, their wealth from the age of the Roracle just have so much more power over the new player base, which kind of, I think, is the opposite of what they were trying to do.
I agree with all the talk about engaging new player content and getting new players to stick around and everything. They've only built a wider wage gap between your nullsec elite, essentially, right, and your new bros. It's absolutely a wide gap.
I don't want to say that it was a goal, and I'm turning my fan on here because it's hot as balls in my room, but I don't want to say it was a goal, but I feel like CCP's overarching idea was they couldn't raise the skill ceiling. And I've said this before on the show, and I've said it on Trash Talk Tuesday. You look at WoW, and you look at every other MMO in existence, and what do they do every year? They release a new expansion, the skill ceiling gets raised, your level cap gets higher, there's new content, whatever.
You're also talking about a completely different design of an MMO.
CCP didn't do that, obviously. They're extending the mid-game here. That age of new player within their first 2 or 3 years, instead of sitting in a Roracle by year 2, they're only getting used to hacks and battleships and whatnot. So I feel like just that mid-game between complete new bro and veteran, it's just been extended. And that
because new bro started in high sec, right? There's tons of ISK in high sec because they're just going to do those little abyssal sites.
Yeah, so I feel like the abyssal site was a attempt to bring in essentially new players that have gotten to where they're running faction cruisers, where they're running higher end builds, they've got more skills. Right, I feel like that was an avenue to get the subcap, new bro, mid bro, game time doing something that generate money, because the current or the prior to the abyssals, prior to these beacons, the current in PVE mechanics in this game were broken. Like you what are you going to go mission run? Like the missions are woefully inadequate to provide a sustainable amount of ISK that would make you not want to just go buy Plex, inject into roll cool, or buy Plex and go bosun rat or what have you. They killed bosun ratting, they killed roll cool mining, and they didn't really give another, as you call it, in-game money faucet, right? So I feel like the abyssals were an inclusion to attempt to make a mid-game ISK faucet. I'd say Poshfin is very much their attempt to make a in-game ISK faucet for large groups. As we see right now, that's where a lot of the in-game money is being made, right?
It's mostly from the abyssals and doing wormhole stuff. So, in last March's MER, it's 36.4 trillion ISK.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I think they intended for Pochman to be like this small gang, small group area. And just like immediately, the nullsec blocks just took it over and was like, "Well, this is so poorly designed. Like, let us just slam an alt or two in here, and we control the region." So,
well, that took a while. It was mostly because they got rid of the gate requirements, right?
it took a while because we were fighting a war with everyone in nullsec, right? Like,
Yeah.
that's the real reason it took a while.
I mean, I don't think anybody can argue that Poshvins ran hard right now by nullsec groups, generating massive amounts of wealth for their nullsec groups. I don't think you can really argue against that.
Yeah, 9.7 trillion is? That's a lot.
Yeah. So, yeah.
A little off topic. Leafs just tied it up in Tampa. It's 2-2 now.
Nice.
I don't even know what sport that is.
It's hockey. Anyway, sorry, guys.
I was at a work thing all week this week, and we were they were watching the basketball game, and I literally just don't even understand that sport anymore at this point in my life.
Oh yeah, you just you can just travel all you want.
Well, they have to, Rand, to get to other players' games or other teams'
I'm
games.
talking about on the court, there, buddy. There's the rules don't exist anymore.
So traveling the ball is not dribbling it. It's literally just carrying it in your hand and running. And the old way of basketball was that you were only allowed to do that for X amount of seconds before it was counted as a penalty.
Well, no, it's steps. It's three. It's the rule's supposed to be 3 steps. Now they if you get you can take 5 and it's okay.
Basketball would be
I
a good
noticed
sport
that.
if it was contact. Same thing with that other one, soccer. That'd be a good sport if it was contact.
Soccer is a contact sport.
No,
Why
it's
though?
not. You can't
You
fucking
literally
touch
a
anybody in soccer.
No, you touch a soccer player's fucking shoulder and they dip into the ground like if they just got hit by a fucking car.
So we've given everyone extra Theta Thursday tonight. Should we maybe move on to final thoughts, or do we have more pressing hard news information to cover?
Mifune Swordgod would like everyone that is not in the Imperium to vote for him.
That is true.
What? Wait a second. Are you running for CSM?
I am indeed. I just linked it in the chat for anyone who wants to read the definite not copy of Brisk Rubal's formatting for the CSM posting. It is pretty lengthy. And just I am going to be running this year. Whether or not I'm going to be on the Goon ballot is yet to be seen. I've been told that my name is inside of the hat, and so we will see what will happen.
Is that how Mittens does it? He just fucking picks names out of the hat? I don't think that. I don't think he does it like that.
No, it's more of a committee that looks at all the names in the hat and then picks and chooses. Yeah.
Excuse me.
Goon ballot? Yes, it is. It is perfectly legal.
We have an Ilum meeting where we just roll a 20-sided dice, and that determines who we put on our ballot.
Makes sense.
It makes perfect sense.
Huh. By the way, is that sheet, is that accurate? Like that, your builds, sorry to bring us back to the thing that's on your actual screen right now.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, so even post-patch is still going to be over 100, Bill?
Yeah, to make a 10.
Is this when I tell you I bought my second bus with the complimentary Nix for 55?
Yeah, man.
Post-tribute war?
My bus was free, get fucked.
Well, there's a large influx,
I don't
right?
suck,
The most caps ever got built when they announced the changes. Like, oh, it's gonna happen. Everyone took all their cap parts and just fucking shoved them inside the cooker.
What are you saying, Coach? Check how the fuck did you get a free Erebus?
Yeah,
got a pretty mouth.
You just gotta cozy up to Jay Amazingness and hope he quits the game, and then you get a bus.
Yeah, and
nobody has those strats. I just have to roll up my sleeves and get hard at it. You know what I mean?
My Nix was free after my old corp CEO. He used to do these things where we would get drunk on a Friday night, and he would literally tell everybody in corp chat just to put a random number between 1 and 50 in the corp chat, and then he would go to his daughter and say, "Hey, pick a number 1 through 50," and whoever got closest to the number his daughter picked won a free prize. And that night happened to be a Nix that was donated to our corporation from another court member who quit the game, and I ended up winning that night and got my Knicks the next morning.
Nice.
We should maybe make a Theta Thursday announcement about what we're going to be doing in the next couple of weeks. Well, the first annual Theta Thursday talent show extravaganza is being worked on. We're going to announce even more content for Theta Thursday. You're getting more for your fucking INN dollars, folks. We're doing the Theta Thursday dating game, aren't we, Don?
Allegedly.
Don, this is your show.
Don might have either.
Oh, Jesus. We lost Don.
I do think
Anyways.
I nominated the.
I'm here,
Edge
sorry,
for this
I said no.
contest.
I
Yeah,
think Slavbach was nominated, if I remember correctly.
Slav would be fantastic.
Slav
But
would be fantastic.
the way the dating game works, I don't know if you guys ever watched the dating game, like the old 70s game show, is like the three bachelors are in like they're not known, right? So we have to find a way to do that. So and then Dawn asks them a series of sexy questions, space sexy questions.
If you
And
were
that-
a piece of food, what food would that be?
That's
number
right.
one.
There you go.
I'd be a banana.
If you could choose to sacrifice one of your titans for the good of the state, which one would it be?
None.
Yeah, you know
Do
what?
you own a Titan, Mifune? Because that's the Titan I pick.
The only titan I ever owned was loaned to me for the Battle of M2 by a goon that unfortunately passed away about a month later after M2.
So you kept it and you never gave it back.
No, it was actually so Mike Flood had just lost his Titan during M2, and we docked up in tie-dye, traded him the Titan. He got back into the fight in his Titan, and I came back in my Super. So I believe he gave it back to said goon before he passed. But no, midway through the battle, it was docked and it was given to Mike Flood as a semi-instant SRP, so he could.
Oh wait, so you got strong-armed into giving up your loner Titan during the battle?
No, I volunteered to give it to him. I volunteered. I said, Mike, you just died in your Titan and your implant pod survived.
Yeah, but it wasn't even yours to loan out.
No, but
And-
the guy.
And
the
this
guy
is
that
why
loaned it
you
to
don't
me-
give people supers and titans out of your personal.
the guy
Alright,
that
let's
gave
get
it
on
to
to
me
final
said it was alright.
thoughts.
But yeah,
I gotta go to the bathroom.
All right, well, let's start at the top. Keish, final thought, shout out, point you want to leave everybody with?
I actually like the new structure changes. It I think is going to benefit reducing Citadel spam. And thanks again for always keeping an open door. I always like coming on here and chatting with y'all. And this weekend should be interesting. Between now and the weekend, should be good.
That's right. Everybody be prepared for the shenanigans and fuckery that is going to happen.
Keish, you got me killed again.
How did I get you killed?
I cared to help your Baltic fleet, and then we got murdered by Dreadnought. It was very
Kozacek, what do you got for
very
us?
sad.
I'd like to give a shout out for Fire, who accidentally dank leaked their standings report today. And they have a section called Pappy, even though Pappy doesn't exist. So nice job, Fire. Proud of you guys.
Wait, what?
Ingenious
leaks.
move.
Thank
Where's that
leaks,
meme of the guy
bro.
with the chessboard and he's just like, outstanding move.
And then we got Greg, final thoughts?
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank Satan for making the show possible, and Fernock Dorn for CSM.
Oh, God. Kozacek, final thoughts, shout outs, last point you want to leave people with?
I just went like a person ago.
he already
No.
went.
Oh,
The brain
I-
worms.
it's not
Why
brain
aren't
worms
you
are
guys
attacking.
going in order? We always
Whale.
wait now. God. Whale sex.
Like turtles.
Fantastic.
Fair point.
Greg?
He already went.
No, I'll go again. Don't forget the. Now, go Leafs! Go! Leafs are beating the Tampa Bay Lightning 3-2. I believe at the end of the second, going into the third period, maybe. So this is pretty fucking spicy, boys. We can actually win a series tonight for the first time in a lot of years.
I don't want to hear it. Unless you're a Cubs fan, you can't talk to me about taking forever to win a tournament.
The Leafs haven't won a Stanley Cup since 1967.
Okay,
That's
Cubs
3
didn't
years
win.
prior to my birth, Don.
Yeah, well, Cubs hadn't won a World Series for like 108 years in a row.
Baseball isn't a sport, Don.
It is a sport. Anyways,
Pastime.
Mifune, final thoughts.
Don't forget, guys, to check out my post running for CSM 17. I will be appearing on a few other EVE Online talk shows once the actual campaigning begins. If you have any questions before then that you want to ask me about my values or kind of what I stand for within EVE, feel free to post your questions in the thread. I constantly look at it, have email and text notifications telling me when someone does. So I'm always there to answer questions. Let's make EVE great again together. Let's truly make the dream of EVE Online forever. I want my
Jesus
kids...
Christ, Mifune, you got red hats that you're gonna fucking sell?
I got a button question for you then.
I want my kids to play EVE Online. I want it to last.
Wait, you have kids?
No, I want kids though.
All right. Well, button question for you then. This is how you will or will not get my vote. You ready?
Ready.
How are you and what are you gonna do to bring back boson ratting? Go.
I think I already said it earlier. I want specialized crab beacons designed for various capital ships, and if that means introducing a tier of crab beacons especially designed for Titans, where they can use bosons and doomsdays to make it challenging for a much higher reward, then that's what they should do.
But so did they change the boson to make it not possible to rat anymore?
It doesn't apply to subs effectively.
It doesn't apply to subs effectively. But
so it's
honestly,
a signature radius based thing. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, cruisers and below don't get applied. If it's a battle,
it
was just battleships, you could do it.
I mean, you can still apply. It's just you can't apply enough to boson haven.
I really think that when it comes to the crowd beacon and this whole theoretical idea of having multiple tiers, and the higher the tier, the higher the reward, the higher the risk, and all that fun stuff, you bring Titans into it. Well, hey, you already have incursions where they physically edit the signature radius. Like, yeah, the Atunis might be the Nightmare model, but they have the sig radius of a fucking cruiser, right? Like, we already know that they have the tools to edit that. It would not be hard to have a crab beacon made for Titans where the rogue drones have a sig radius high enough to where stuff like bosons and doomsday apply. It's not that difficult.
Well, the way the crab beacon works isn't going to work for that because they work on
change the idea of the crab beacon. Instead of just having the one crab beacon for capital ratting, there's multiple ways of capital ratting. Even in the old days, you had supers bombing havens, you had supers doing sanctums, you had titans boson ratting, right? Like, there are so many different ways to rat in a capital. Wormholers do sites with fucking dreads. Like, there is multiple ways to rat in a capital, and I really think it's a missed opportunity to take the crab beacon into those multiple types of ratting.
That's fantastic. Dawn, final thoughts?
Final thought is thank you for everybody joining us. We thank all of our guests coming on, even Brisk. We always appreciate his different viewpoint than the rest of us. And you should go check them out after us on Rampage Incorporated. I looked forward to seeing anybody there on Saturday for Push to Talk. Come hang out with us over there, where you'll listen to me talk for about 20 minutes and then listen to the rest of them jabber on.
Yeah, listen, actually, that's I wanted to bring that up too. On Saturday, there's a show before the meta show. People don't like USTZ time. People, like, because they're so drunk on Friday nights, sometimes don't wake up in time, like myself. I don't drink, but so anyways, it's called Push to Talk, and you should all tune in because it's a fucking good show. Like, it really is a good show.
You want people who are slightly knowledgeable about what they talk about? That's where
it's not fucking tripe like this.
Like this, yeah. And then I hope to see everybody next week or week after, and keep an eye out for the Theta Thursday first annual talent show. We are totally in the works on that. It's totally coming, guys. Someday.
It is, Donna. I've got some fucking detailed notes. And we'd like to thank our guests again, Whale Sax, Kosachek, and Cash for coming on and making this show special. And we'd also like to thank each and every one of you for tuning in, because without you guys, there wouldn't be a Theta Thursday. Anyways, thanks. Have a good one.
Thanks for having me.
Good, everyone. Good night.
Take us out, Mifune.
Bye.
Bye, my dudes.
See you.